evening stars in the hit CBS series Touched by an Angel. Please welcome the lovely and talented Roma Downey. You look fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. So do you.
Ah, well, good. That's what I wanted.
Thank you.
You know, it's funny. The name of the show, Touched by an Angel.
Yes.
I find out today that this is, I mean, it's such a famous show. It does so well that the title of the show has actually gotten you into trouble. Is that right?
Well, I find myself in malls and shopping centres and anywhere where there's large groups of people, and absolute strangers come up and ask to be touched. So it's...
I mean, that happens in New York a lot, I know.
Well,
it's called the subway, but...
I think people, you know, I think they just like the idea that they can go home and say they've been touched by an angel. You know, the first time it was cute. The 101st time it's like, you know,
Right, when it's like a 400-pound guy. Touch me. It's not as cute anymore, I wouldn't think.
Usually it's moms and grannies, you know, because according to people, even though they may watch the show, they like to say that their mother watches the show. I find that I think people have, it's a guilty secret somehow to watch Touched by an Angel. So everybody's mother loves the show. If you were me, it's the thing you'd hear most of all.
No, you mean like a lot of people would say, like, oh, I don't want to admit to liking a show that's about spirit and hope and all that.
Absolutely, because the show, I think, gives permission to feel. It gives people permission to feel, and it deals with optimism and spirituality, and so I
Many of the themes we deal with here.
Is that right? Yeah.
Wait, no, that's not true at all. But yeah, I imagine people they don't want to admit to it, so they say, okay, not me, but someone I know loves it.
Someone I know loves your show. So thank God 20 million mums and grannies watch the show.
Now, you're from Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
You're from Northern Ireland, and yet you, when you were coming up as an actor, were turned down for some roles because you weren't Irish enough. Is that right?
Well, I actually went up, in the early days, I went up for an audition for an Irish Spring soap commercial.
Were you the manly yes and I like it too? Was that the part you were going for?
Yes, but I think, you see, I don't know whether it was Barry Fitzgerald who started it, but there's a stereotypical Irish character that Americans assume all Irish people to be. A kind of leprechaun person, you know?
Oh, well, how are you now? Nice to see you.
And
that kind of character.
We don't speak like that, you know, and actually we're kind of offended when we're asked to speak that way. So I found myself in the audition saying, manly, yes, and I like it too, and they're like, oh, no, can't you do it more like this?
Can't you go, I'm manly, yes, I'm a Thai, I like it too. That kind of thing they want.
That kind of thing, but you know, I find, I don't know what it is about the Irish accent, but on any given day when I go home and pick up messages off my answering machine, it's like people call me and feel that somehow it's okay to say, oh, hello, Roma Downey, how are you? American people who just always want to make fun of the accent.
You know what's funny is that when you meet real Irish people, I've been to Ireland many times, and I grew up, we had next door to us, we're Irish Americans, we've been here 150 years, but next to us lived an authentic guy who was, I think, from Dublin or something. A real Irish person, you can't understand what they're saying. They don't sound like the leprechaun at all. A real person is like, oh, I've got to tell you something. And you're not going to get that. And I never understood what this man was saying. I think he was asking for help half the time. Do you go back there much? Do you go back to Ireland?
I do. My family all still live there, and I try to get over annually to see everybody. And of course, they love to see me coming back. They're delighted with the success of the show and the success that I've had. Last summer, when I went home, I went to a convent school from I was 5 till I was 18.
So you had the nuns, the tough nuns.
I was taught by the nuns. The order was called the Order of Sisters of Mercy, and of course we affectionately refer to them as the Sisters of No Mercy.
Right.
But I ran into my old retired principal nun. Her name was Sister Emmanuel. I don't know how old she was, but she was getting up there and was a bit deaf, and I had to remind her it was me. She couldn't see, and she says, "Oh, Roma Downey, now aren't you doing brilliantly in America? But you'll forgive us at the convent. We never thought you were angel material." Which was very cute.
You said, "Look here, sister." This is my bodyguard. Did you run into old friends? Do you ever run into old friends that you grew up with, like people your contemporaries?
Yes. A lot of the girls that I went to school with started having babies very early, you know, the Irish Catholic way.
Well, it's one of those cliches that's just true.
And so I would
I'm sorry, but it is.
It's true, it is
My
true.
name's Patty. These are my 50 kids, you know.
And I would go home each summer, you know, and they would say, God, now your career's going well. Isn't that great? You're doing Broadway, you're on TV, but you have no babies yet. And I'd sort of leave feeling rather inadequate and not part of that women's club. So when my daughter was born 3 years ago, I thought, yes. And I took her back and I dressed her up in her lovely wee frock and everything. And
But you dressed her up as a leprechaun.
No.
Look what I got! Bargy.
No. I took her out to push her up Main Street, you know, to show that, you know, look how proud I am of this wonderful child, and running into the same girls who are going, oh yeah, career's going great. Oh, when you have a child now, yeah, just the one.
That's a tough country. I'm one of 6, and if I was in Ireland, people would be like, just 6 is it now?
You have,
See, I just
I'm
did
one
the
of 6
cheesy
too.
accent. What?
Well, I'm one of 6 as well.
Oh, there you go. That's a small nuclear family
Where
in
do you
Ireland.
fall? Are you...
I'm the middle attention star of child. Gets talk show, cry for help. You'll see.
I'm the youngest, and my oldest brother is a priest, and he doesn't have the greatest sense of humour in the world when we refer to him as Father Brother.
He starts crying and saying, quit it, quit it. Well, Touched by an Angel is on Sundays at 8 on CBS. And you did the show, you were pregnant, actually, with your daughter.
Yes,
when you,
with Riley, yeah.
And how did that must have been tricky, because a lot of shows, if a character gets pregnant, they write it into the show. Hard to do when you're playing an angel,
yeah,
I would think.
we didn't, it's true.
I'm an angel, but then there was that one night where things got crazy. We won't talk about that. But anyway, Sundays at 8 on CBS. And Roma, it's always great when you come by.
Oh,
thank you for doing
having
it.
me.
Nice to have you here. Roma Downey, everybody. Greg Giraldo coming up. Very funny guy. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.